Մենք շարունակում ենք հարցազրույցների շարքը եւ հիմա մենք կզրուցենք Համաժողովի մասնակից Ֆիլիփ-Րաֆֆի Կալֆայանի հետ։ Պարոն Կալֆայանը միջազգային իրավունքի փորձագետ է։ Good afternoon. First of all, what are your impressions of this convention?
Well, my first impression, and which is something that happens so few times, is that we are not here for reaching big resolutions, but we are here to understand better each other, and in fact we can realize that the Armenian nation is made of so many cultures, so many countries of residence, so many ways of thinking, and so many also different expectations. And we are facing the reality of the Armenian nation. And I think this is quite important to go through this step. And the second observation is that we have in Armenia, like in diaspora, people who consider themselves as elites or experts, and who don't face this reality. They are thinking about nice models, nice objectives, but without considering these realities. And for that, I do believe that such event is really worth.
Is it possible to combine all of these diverse thinking and comments and approaches to the same questions to make one specific goal for all? Is it possible?
I don't think that we can satisfy all the expectations. No, certainly not, especially because there are so opposing ideas. I may give some example later, but there is one link between all the people, which is in fact the major concern of all the people here. Everybody understands that we are at the crossroads for Armenia and for the Armenian nation.
Sure.
And everybody came here for this purpose. So that's really the minimum platform, and I think this is important because this is the consciousness of what is happening at the moment and the stake for us.
Sure. So obviously we are in a deep crisis, and around Artsakh, around Armenia, everything is very dark.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Is it possible to make something in order to mobilize all the resources that we have in diaspora, in Armenia, to solve all these problems? Or diaspora will live its life, Armenia and Artsakh separated? Is it possible to combine all our resources?
So there have been a lot of debates about, especially I challenged the word unity, which is used in this conference. Unity doesn't mean anything if you are talking unity for unity. So that means that I do believe that the first priority is to define some common objectives. And once you have defined the common objectives, then people will gather around these objectives. We don't need unity because today the world is made of individualism. And the Armenians are very individualistic as well.
We're champions in chess, but we're losers in football. So.
And so I don't think that we should think about unity in one organization or behind state institutions, but just give the orientations. And the people will follow with their own initiatives, with their own NGOs, with their own private investments. And so this is a big mistake to think that somebody has to decide and then everybody should join behind him. No, this is not behind people or institutions, this is behind objectives, ideals. And this is very important to understand that, because this is probably the key to make work everybody in the same direction. So that's really something that people should understand. And here we can see the collision, the conflict between two cultures. The people who have inherited from the Soviet culture, who believe that everything should be decided by the state.
Yes, yes.
and the liberal culture, where in fact you have to take care of personal initiatives, private initiatives.
Sure. Let me challenge you. Could you please explain why the international law doesn't work?
What?
Does not work.
Okay.
If for Artsakh, for Armenia, for us, it doesn't work.
Not
we have
only
prisoners.
for us.
Yes, sure. But first of all, for us.
Okay.
Why? We have prisoners of war. We have a 91 day of blockade of Artsakh. Why?
Okay.
We don't understand.
So international law, international public law, has been created by states for their own interests. Okay?
Okay.
So international law regulates the interstate relations.
Okay.
And in that context, they have defined the rules in order to ease, to protect so their interest when there are disputes, but without so any threat on their sovereignty. Okay. So I explain. For an example, the International Court of Justice issued an order 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Okay. This is an order. This is temporary, so this is not final. This order is binding by definition, because this is the Supreme Court of the nations.
Sure.
But there is no mechanism of enforcement.
So that it means that it's not binding.
So it's binding in theory, but it's not enforceable by force.
What should we do?
Well, here it means that the whole international law has to go one step further, and go in a direction which will in fact affect the sovereignty of the states. We are far from here, because with all the events happening at the moment, the wars looming everywhere, and probably the worst is to come, there is no chance that international law evolves. So probably that, unfortunately, we have to wait for the next catastrophe to get evolution of international law. It may happen, but for the time being, this is the jungle law. That means that the powerful states do what they want. If you are a weak state, then you have to be the victims of this system.
Unfortunately, this is true. So we are finishing in very pessimistic atmosphere, but in real atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for very interesting comments.
Thank you.
Ես հիշեցնեմ, մենք զրուցում էինք միջազգային իրավունքի փորձագետ, ապագա հայկական համաժողովի մասնակից Րաֆֆի Ֆիլիփ Կալֆայանի հետ։